All right, folks, thanks for joining me today. My name is Zach Hubbard. I am the Director of Financial Planning and Participant Engagement here at Greenspring Advisors, and I'm excited to welcome you to the first of our monthly 2023 Moments of Clarity webinar series. In today's topic, what we're going to be talking about is some tips and tricks to help you stick with your financial New Year's resolutions. As we enter the new year, we all typically sit down, think through what we want to accomplish in the year, think about what changes we want to make, what goals we have for the year ahead. And so what we want to provide you is just with some tips and ideas for how you can stick specifically to those New Year's financial resolutions, but also your other resolutions that you may have in general. So let's jump right into it. So first of all, let's think about where we should start. And that's really with the goal setting process. So when it comes to setting goals, when it comes to setting meaningful goals for the year, and if we think about resolutions, what those really are, those are goals for the year, right? Things that we want to accomplish throughout the year. When we think about goal setting, we want to think about setting those goals in what's called the SMART formula. This is just a general goal setting formula that helps you create goals that are a little bit better, a little bit more refined than just your typical sort of general goals that you might throw out there. So SMART is an acronym. It stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So specific, your goals should address the who, what, when, where, and why, and how of that goal. So aside from just saying exactly what it is that you want to accomplish, you should make sure that you're specifying who is going to accomplish that goal, what that goal is, when it's going to be accomplished by, why you want to do that goal. That's a really important part, right? Why is that goal important to you specifically, and how you're going to get that goal accomplished. So you want to make sure that your goals are specific in when you're creating them or where you're having those resolution or goal setting conversations. The second aspect of that SMART structure is measurable, right? So your goal should have specific metrics tied to them that can actually be tracked and measured over time, right? Not just a general basic goal, but something that is actually specific and also measurable, right? That it can be easily tracked so you can see your progress towards that completion, so you can see your progress towards your goal. You can monitor over time and make any tweaks to make sure that you are actually achieving those goals that you're setting. It should also be attainable, right? A lot of times we have big goals, especially as we're entering the new year, that may not ultimately be realistic for us. So we want to make sure that we're sitting down and looking at our goals and saying, is this really a realistic goal for me? Is this something I can actually reasonably achieve within the time frame that I'm setting? So that way you're not creating goals that are too lofty, right? Or too far of a reach for you, so that you can stick to those goals and make sure that you are actually achieving the things that you're setting out to do. Goals should also be relevant. They should make sense in the broader context of, in this case, your financial life, but in your life in general, right? So ask yourself the question as you're setting these goals, is this relevant to your values? Is this relevant to the things that you want to achieve? How is it going to improve your life or fit within your life, right? And it's not, make sure it's not just some goal that you heard somebody else say and that you're kind of, taking on as your own, right? You want to make sure that the goal is actually relevant to your personal situation. Make sure that actually is improving your personal life, improving your financial life, and make sure that you're not just sort of subjecting other folks' goals to your own. And the last thing is time bound, right? You want to make sure that you have a specific time constraint associated with your goal. So you set yourself a deadline to achieve whatever that goal is that you're setting. We can have, we often have open-ended goals that maybe you say, I want to pay off all my credit card debt. But if we don't have a specific time frame by that, it's very hard to plan and say exactly what we're going to do or what steps we're going to take to achieve that goal without a time constraint to it. So we want to make sure that we have a deadline set for ourselves to achieve these goals that we're setting. So again, as you're thinking about setting your goals, or maybe you've already set some goals, go back and review them and make sure they fall within this SMART framework, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Do I know exactly what that goal is that I'm looking for? Can I measure it? Can I track my progress towards it over time? Is it realistic, right? Is it attainable for me within my current constraints, within the current monthly budget or whatever else it is that I have applicable to me? Is it relevant, right? Does it actually further my life or improve my life or further further get me closer to my long-term goals? And is it time bound, right? Does it have a deadline to it that I can apply and that I can use as a goalpost for myself as I'm working towards this goal? So once you've gone through the process of setting these SMART goals, making sure that you have all these box check, making sure that you have very specific and measurable, attainable, relevant timeout goals. Then we can get into really thinking about, okay, how can we actually get accomplish these goals, right? How can we help ourselves stick to these and accomplish these goals over the course of the year? So the first tip I'll put out to you is to break it down. A lot of times we set these goals that are big and general, and we have the best of intentions when we set those goals, but because they are so general and so big, it's very easy to get off track. So what can help us stick to those goals, help us stick to those financial goals, is to break them down into maybe shorter term or less broad areas of focus. For example, you might have a goal that says, hey, I want to be debt free, or I want to save more, which is fine, right? Those are great goals. Those are great long-term, large goals. But we can break those down into more actionable, trackable steps that can also help you create small wins throughout the year. So example, if I said I want to be debt free, maybe I change that to, I want to have a 0 credit card balance by the end of the year. That's a specific measurable goal that I can look at, and a little bit smaller for me to look at, and I can track my progress over time. I could use something like the debt snowball method to get towards that goal, right? Or pay an extra $100 per month on my account. Then I can see as those balances are declining, especially if I'm somebody that might have multiple credit cards, maybe I have a good amount of credit card debt on multiple cards. As those cards are being paid off, as I'm seeing one card balance go to 0 and then the next and the next, that's creating small wins throughout the year. We know that creating small wins is a really great way to help us stick with those big goals that we set, because it's a point of encouragement, right? It's a point of feeling like you're accomplishing something, like you're making progress towards those goals. Conversely, if I say, I want to save more, maybe I don't have any debt, or I'm comfortable with the amount of debt that I have, but I just want to save more throughout the year. Maybe just to do that, maybe instead I say, hey, I'm going to save an extra $100 per month. And you'll be, again, able to track yourself over time and see that every month as you're putting that $100 in, your balance is going up, you're saving more over time, but you're creating a much smaller step towards that bigger overall goal. And again, creating those small wins for yourself, which is really, really important when it comes to sticking to those goals. And that's true not just of your financial goals, but of all goals, right? Even if your goal is something around weight loss or getting healthier, eating healthier, anything like that, creating those small wins for yourself over time is a really great way to make sure that you're sticking with those goals and actually accomplishing the things that you're setting out to do. So, it's a point of encouragement. It's a point of making sure that you're feeling like you're actually making progress towards those goals. So when you have those big general goals, don't stop there. Don't stop at, I want to be debt free, I want to save more, whatever else your other big goals are for the year. Figure out how you can break that down. Break that down into smaller steps. Maybe you break it down on a monthly basis. Maybe you break it down on a quarterly basis. But take that big goal that you have and chop it up into those smaller pieces so that you can create those wins, track your progress, and it will ultimately help you stick with and ultimately accomplish that larger goal that you set out to accomplish in the beginning of the year. Now, tip number 2 is to automate, right? Automate. This is true not just of your New Year's financial resolutions, but also a really just great practice for your overall personal finances. But there are a lot of reasons that this can help you stick to those financial resolutions that you set in the beginning. I mean, ultimately, when it comes to sticking with our New Year's resolutions, pretty much the biggest inhibitor, if not the biggest inhibitor to our success, is also probably the hardest to overcome, which is ourselves, right? Whether it's the discouragement of feeling like you're not seeing immediate results, maybe you lose motivation over time, maybe you end up being too busy to keep up. We can get in our own way quite a bit when it comes to sticking to our own resolutions. But the good news is there is technology out there, specifically with regards to our financial goals, that helps us stick with those resolutions that we set out in the beginning, as long as we take the time up front to automate those things that we want to do. So, for example, if I, going back to some of those bigger goals that I talked about, if I want to save more, if I want to be debt free by the end of the year, and maybe I break that down into smaller steps of, hey, I want to save $100 extra per month, or I want to pay $100 more to my credit cards every month, or whatever that smaller goal is, I can then automate that process so that I can take myself out of it. I can set up an automatic deposit for my checking account to my savings account every month for $100 when my paycheck hits, or whenever I want to structure that. I can set up an automatic extra payment towards my credit cards. And so even when I get to, April or May or June, and I've kind of lost the motivation that I initially had in January, when I had all the best of intentions and the whole year was in front of me. And by the time I get to May or June, I'm tired. I've been working, work's been busy. Other things have come up. Life happens. I've already set myself up for continued success towards those goals because I took the time to not just create the goal and create specific measurable goals, but I also automated the steps to achieve that goal. So again, if you have, maybe your goal is to save more towards retirement, you can automatically increase those payroll deferrals every year. You can set them up to increase by every month. If my goal is to increase emergency savings, I could set up that automatic transfer from my checking account to my savings account every month. But the technology is out there. It's all very easy to set up, and it really helps you overcome those typical inhibitors to our success when it comes to reaching our financial goals and hitting those financial resolutions that we have every year, which again are the overwhelm, it's the lost interest, the discouragement, the loss of motivation, or maybe just the distractions of normal everyday life, right? But if we can automate those steps, those small steps that we break our big goals down into, we're much more likely to achieve those goals over time. And ultimately, they kind of become habits, right? And it just is a really good way to, again, not just set up yourself up to reach your short-term financial goals, maybe for the new year, but also for your long-term financial goals as well. The more you can automate those things, the more you can automate your progress towards those goals, the better off you'll end up being. And the last tip I'll leave you with today is just to bring in an accountability partner. Now, we all sometimes need help, right? I mean, even as great as technology is, as great as it is to automate those goals and automate those savings, you might have goals that can't be automated, or maybe that automation doesn't quite work for you. So just like hiring a personal trainer for weight loss, bringing in an accountability partner for your financial goals can be a really great way to help you stay accountable, to help you stick with those goals over time. And that partner doesn't have to be somebody that you're paying, somebody specific. It doesn't have to be a financial advisor or financial planner like us here at Clarity Work. It doesn't have to be us. It could be a friend or a family member, somebody that you're comfortable with, but you have to be comfortable with that person giving you critical feedback, right? And making sure that they're kind of holding your feet to the fire. And you also have to make sure that you trust that person. Trust is a key part of any accountability type relationship, right? You want to make sure that you trust the person that they're going to hold you to it. They need to be as bought in as you are in terms of your financial success. You also need to be able to trust them with your personal financial information. So if you're going with a friend or a family member or a spouse, you want to make sure that they're trusted, and that you can trust them with knowing some personal information about you, knowing some personal financial information. You also need to be able to trust that they can tell you some hard truths, right? And really hold you to that goal or that resolution that you set out to have. And again, that can be a spouse, close family member, friend, financial planner, financial coach, financial advisor, anybody that is involved in personal finance is certainly available to you as that sort of accountability partner. But sometimes that person is just going to be a family member, a spouse, or a friend. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, right, sticking with our goals, sometimes we just need extra help. We just needed somebody else to hold us accountable to it. Everything, some things work better for others than don't. But ultimately, if we have somebody that knows our goals, know what we want to accomplish, knows the steps that we need to take, they can help hold you to the fire, right? Hold you to it and make sure that you're sticking with those goals over time. And, it has to be, again, a trusted relationship, and you have to be able to be comfortable with receiving that feedback from that person. So sometimes it is better to bring in a third party, whether it be a financial planner or a financial coach. Sometimes that might be somebody that's close to you, but definitely, if you find yourself, especially as you get into the second half of the year or the second quarter of the year, if you find yourself struggling to stick with these goals, it's important to recognize that and say, hey, you know what, I need some help. And then don't be afraid to ask for it. Whether, again, that's you come to us or you go to somebody else, don't be afraid to ask for that help to stick to your goals. There's a reason that we set those financial goals at the beginning of the year. And that's because they are important to you, because you do believe that they're going to improve your financial situation. So it's really important that if you do need it, you ask for that help and you get that help as soon as possible, so that they can help you stick with it, help you maybe adjust the plan if needed, but also just hold you to those goals that you set out for yourself. So wrapping up here, just in reference to that third tip, bringing in an accountability partner. Again, you do have access to us here at Greenspring Advisors through our Clear at Work financial wellness platform. You go to the same website that you went to sign up for these meetings, greenspringadvice.com. On there, you can schedule a one-on-one meeting with myself or any other member of the team. We can talk through any of those financial goals that you have for the year, help you either set up your plan, monitor your plan, hold you, be that accountability partner for you over time throughout the year, and make sure that you're setting these goals in a smart, specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time-bound way. So definitely reach out to us as you're thinking through those new year financial goals, new year financial resolutions. Reach out to us here at Greenspring. We're happy to talk through any of those goals that you have, any questions that you have, any concerns that you have, and help you stay accountable and set yourself up for success and to achieve those goals throughout the year. So I appreciate everybody joining today. I hope that you found this to be informative. Again, if you have questions, reach out to us at Greenspring, greenspringadvice.com. You can also call us at the advice hotline that you see on the page. So definitely don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have questions, concerns, and we'll talk to you very soon. Happy saving, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.